In this video, we will be building a Hangman style game in Ruby. So this will be built in Ruby and the game will be played via the terminal. So it'll be a little bit like we see here in a web browser based game. So you pick letters trying to complete a word, and once you get the letter correct, you will see that letter appear in that word. And if you make too many mistakes, the game is over as you have run out of lives. So before we get into the build, I want to give a shout out to my sponsor, Scout APM. So if you're looking to track performance issues and eliminate bugs within your application, check out the link in the description below. So let's begin by creating our folder to store this code. So I'll set up a new directory. So we'll call this Hangman game, and then we will open up this directory, and I'm going to create a new file here using the touch command. So we will create a file called play.rb, and then we will open this folder in our code editor. So within our Ruby file, let's begin by creating a class. So we'll create a class called Hangman, and I will set up a initialize method within this class. I will also define a second method. So this one will be called to begin the game, to start the game. Within the initialize method, I'm going to create an array of letters here. So this will be the alphabet. And we are using a range to fill in the values between A and Z. And then we will convert this to an array. And my thinking for creating this letters array is that once we make an incorrect guess, or even a correct guess, we want to remove that letter from the alphabet so that the user knows which characters they can still use. So once our new Hangman class is initiated, we are going to pick a word, and guessing that word will be the objective of this game. So in order to get that word different every time, we are going to pull it from an array. So in this case, we are using the sample on an array. So we're calling word equals words.sample, and we are creating a method here to return this array of words. So each word will be accompanied by a clue. So in each array here, we have the word that we're trying to guess, followed by the clue that we want to return to the user. So let's populate some different words followed by clues to what that word is. Now you could actually create a lot more entries for this array. However, I'm just doing 5 so that we get that element of randomness. And you could actually take this even further by importing these values from a separate file. So if you guys enjoy watching Ruby content, make sure to subscribe to the channel to get more videos like this. I'm also doing a Ruby on Rails course, so you can find that on my website. So check out the link in the description below. So going back to our begin method, here we want to tell the user that the new game has been started, and we want to provide them with a clue so that they have an idea about the word that they're guessing. So let's return this clue along with the welcome message. So in order for us to access this word, we want to change it to an instance variable, which allows us to use it from different methods within this class. So now we're going to embed this word within our string. And we will create a new variable to capture the input from the user. So we're going to use the gets command, which will take the value from the terminal, and we will use a chump command on that string to remove the line break. And to test this out, we will return the value back to the user just to make sure everything's working. So outside of our class now, we are going to set a variable called game and create a new instance of this Hangman class. And then we will call the begin method to start the game. So as you can see, once we call the script, we get the welcome message and the clue is continent. But it does look like we've made a mistake here. Our clue is actually the word that we should be guessing. So instead of word.first, we will change that to word.last. But first let's enter a prompt to give the user the instruction of entering a letter. We can remove our debug message here at the bottom. And I will remove this clue onto a new line. And to make it a little bit easier for the user, we will tell them how many characters are in this word. So we'll do word.first and we'll say .size. So by this point we have picked out a word, we have instructed the user that the game has started, we tell them how long the word is in characters, and we provide them a clue as to what that word is, and then we prompt them to enter a letter as their first guess. But what would be really good here is if we can provide a teaser. So we will show how many characters there are, space them out, and as the user gets these characters correct, we can fill those in with the appropriate letter. So I'm going to create a block of code that gets looped over multiple times, and the number of times it will get looped over depends on the length of the word. So we can do that using the .size method to get the number of characters in that string, followed by the .times to run that script that many times, or run that block of code that many times. So that's what we're doing here, and then we're returning a string with a underscore and a space. So now we can see that we have got those 7 character spaces available. I'm going to take out the teaser code that we have here and move it into a separate method of its own. So this will keep our begin method a little bit cleaner and easier to maintain. So now we can just call this teaser method. And since the user will be making multiple guesses to add the letters to the word, let's take this out of the begin method and we'll create a new method here. So we'll call this make guess and we'll add the prompt here to enter a letter. So let's call our make guess method from the bottom of the begin method. So once a user makes a guess, we want to check if that letter is part of that word. So is the letter part of this word that the user is trying to guess? And if it's included in that word, then we want to take action based on that. So we'll say word.first.include, and this include method with the question mark will check the contents of the string to see if the string that you're passing in is found within that string. So in this case we have a single letter that we are checking for, and we will assign this true or false value to the variable called good guess, and then we will check if good guess, and then we will output a message to the user to test if this is working correctly. And if the guess is not correct, let's also output a message to tell the user to try again. So in the terminal now, we'll run the script and see what happens. So we've got our clue and we have the number of letters. So let's try a letter. So we can see in this case that we got one of the letters correct, but it's not showing yet in the word up above, the teaser. So if we run it again and choose a letter that does not match, so we can see that we are told to try again. So in order to make this game challenging, we want to include a limited number of guesses that the user can make. So if they get the letter wrong more than, let's say, 7 times, that the game will end. So in this case, we'll assign the value to an instance variable called lives. So now if their guess is wrong, we want to remove one of those lives. So we'll do that before outputting the message. And we'll return the number of lives within the string, just to let the user know how many tries that they have left. So let's correct this lives value. It looks like we made a typo here. So this should be minus equal to 1. We're going to take away 1 life from the user once they get the answer wrong. So if the user gets the answer wrong, we also want them to make another guess. So we'll call the method name again, just to continue this cycle until they are out of lives. So in this case, we need to do a check to see how many lives the user does have remaining. So if it's more than 0, so if they have 1 life or more, then they can make another guess. But otherwise, let's terminate the script with a message if they are out of lives. So when we try to run this script again, once we enter a incorrect letter, we can see that the number is going down, so our lives are going down correctly. So going back to our message now for the correct answer, I'm just going to change the messaging slightly here. So I'm just going to say that you are correct. I also want to return a teaser to show the new letter that has been added to the word. So once we call this print teaser, currently it will just return underscores in place of letters. So we do want to replace this underscore for the letters that we have got correct. So we'll get back to that in a few minutes. But first I'm going to store the correct guess in an array so that we can collect those for later. So let's create this array as an instance variable at the top of our file. It's going to be an empty array to begin with. We can actually show the letters that remain that the user has not guessed yet. So in order to do that, we will remove the guess from the array of letters that we have. So in that case, we can say letters.delete, and we will delete based on the value of that guess. So what this actually does is delete that item from the array. So the array will still exist with all the other items that have not been guessed yet up until this point. So going back to our print teaser method, I'm going to take this code to create this string of empty characters, and I'm going to move it up into the initialize method. So this will only need to be called once, and what we'll do then is store this value as a instance variable. So that will be the blank spaces for the word that is returned to the user. And once we get characters right in that word, we will simply update this instance variable. So looking again at the print teaser method, I'm going to pass in a variable. So this variable will be the last guess that the user has made. So the letter that they pass in will go to that method. So in here I'm going to call a new method. So this will be update teaser. And we only want to call this method if the last guess value is not nil. So on the line above, I have created a nil default value for the last guess. So let's create this update teaser method. So now that we have this word teaser as an instance variable at the top, we don't need to have it here within the print teaser method. And the final output will be the instance variable of the word teaser. So it will call this update teaser method first, and when we'll update that instance variable, then finally the value will be output from the print teaser method back to the console. So we're going to create a new version of this teaser, and we're going to split the string. So we'll split it based on the space that is between each of the underscores. So this will create an array. So each item in this array will be underscores once this script is run for the first time. So the value of new teaser should look something like this once the script is run the first time. So it's just an array of underscores. So now we can iterate over this new teaser array. And I'm going to use the each with index, and I'll show you why in a few moments, but it's just a quick way to get a value for each of the items in the array as we loop over them. And I will add a comment here to make it a little bit easier to understand what is happening. So our goal is to replace the blank values, so these underscore values. So these will only be replaced in the positions that match with the word that we're trying to guess. So we're checking to see if the letter is blank first of all. So if the letter has a underscore in its place, then we'll also check to see the word that we have that we are guessing against. So if that word has a character and we're using the index of that character in the string for this word, so we'll check that character, that specific character, and see if it matches with the letter that we are passing in. So in this case, that letter is known as last guess. So if there is a match in this case, so the letter of the word that we're guessing in that right position matches the letter that the user has guessed, so then we will update the exact letter in this new teaser. So at that character position, we will update it with the letter that the user has guessed. Effectively, we're just replacing that underscore value with the letter if it is matching in that right position. So I'm adding the last guess here to the update teaser method, so we'll have to pass that value in. So at the bottom of this method, we will override the instance variable for word teaser with this new teaser value. So we'll need to join the array together as a string, and we'll do that inserting the blank space character in between each of the values in our array. And I've just noticed a small error that we've made earlier, so we don't need to split this as it is a string. So let's call our script now from the terminal. So So let's make our first guess. So we have lost a life, and we can enter another character. And this time you'll see that we have updated the teaser correctly. So we've got the O at the second position. And now we see the T value has been added. So that's the correct letter as well. And you'll notice as well that the letter T has been entered twice. And the same for N. So the N is added 3 times. So since we're looping over and inserting the characters, we can insert multiple at once. So this time we've completed the word, but we need the script to end and tell us that we are successful once the word is completed. And we were also missing a way to exit the program. So let's begin with that. So if the user types the keyword exit, we want to terminate the script. So first of all, let's tell the user that they can type the word exit to escape the program. So now within our make a guess method, before we start checking the value of the letter, whether it's correct or not, let's first check to see if the user input contains the word exit. So by catching this exit, we can simply return a message and the program will exit by itself. So let's change this to else if, and you'll notice here that there is no E in the else if. So let's see if we can exit our script. So that is looking good. We're able to exit the program now. So the last thing we want to do then is allow the user to complete the game successfully. So if we go back to our correct guess section in the make a guess method, we'll notice here that there's a couple of lines of code we're not actually using anymore. So list letters.delete the guess and also the correct guesses. So we're not actually using these anymore. So we can remove those. As you can see, they are used at the top, but we aren't using it for any logic in our script. So we're going to remove that for now. And we can do the same with the correct guesses. So originally I wanted to include these to return them back to the user, but in this case we didn't really have to do that. So you could actually output those back to the user just for information purposes, but I think it's pretty clear when they're playing the game if they got the answer correct or not. So if the guess is correct, they're going to see that letter within the word anyway. So now the last thing to do is to check that the teaser word matches the actual word that we're trying to guess. So to do that, we can replace the spaces within the teaser word. So at the moment, there's a space between every character in the teaser word. So we're splitting this up into an array first. So the word teaser gets split into an array. So that will remove the spaces automatically. And this is the word we're comparing it against. So let's output a message to the user if these two are a match. And I've just noticed that we missed something on the line above. So we should be comparing the string against the string, but the split method will actually break it into an array. So once it gets split into an array, it will still have to be joined back into a string. So we can do that using the .join method. So now that we have added the ability to end the game successfully, let's go ahead and try it out one more time. So we can see that the lives are counting down once we make mistakes, and our characters are appearing correctly once we get them right. And finally then, once we complete the word, the game exits with a success message. So that's going to do it for this video. But before I go, I just want to give a shout out to my sponsor, Scout APM. Scout APM makes it easy to manage your Ruby on Rails applications, to track performance for slow queries and debug issues within your app. Check it out in the link below and get a 14-day free trial for their service. And other than that, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video.